everyone, and welcome to Beginnings, the show that asks, where do creative people come from? My name is Andy. I'm the host of the show and a writer and performer based in Los Angeles, California. How are you doing? It's September, and every day it feels like you're rocketing between actual physical nausea at how depraved the world is, and just absolute, like, you know, in a cartoon when a drunk sees something crazy and then they kind of like wipe their eyes and look down at their jug of moonshine with the little 3 X's on it and then throw it behind them like, I'm never drinking again. So every day I feel like I'm rocketing between those two extremes of seeing something insane like Eric Adams and half of the New York municipal government be indicted or resign. Yeah, gotta say, podcasts are my one of my best distractions, and I hope that's the same for you, because I got a great episode today. Today's Angry Blackmen. If you don't know who they are, I'm gonna read you their bio right now. Both living in Chicago in the mid-20-teens, rappers Brian Warren and Quentin Branch, aka Angry Blackmen, met through a mutual friend and eventually, a few years later, began making music together. Brian asked Quentin to form a duo, saying, quote, I was looking at probably like Outkast or something, and I was like, if they can do it, we can do it. Their first album, Talk Shit, in 2019 netted them an online following, and subsequent albums were released on Death Bomb Arc. This includes 2020's Headshots, 2021's Reality, and their most recent, the fantastic The Legend of ABM, which was released back in January. And folks, I'm going to tell you this. This is the Andy Beckerman patented epistemological sign that you are listening to a great album, and that is, we all know this, if you're in the car and the song's halfway done, but you get to your destination, and you keep listening to the song until it's over, well, that's how you know you got a great album. And I gotta tell you, every time there's a song from The Legend of ABM on, and I stop, gotta listen to the end. I know that's not wisdom, really. That's just something everyone knows, but I dressed it up. Anyway, Brian and Quentin are great. This is a cool talk. We get off on a lot of tangents. Usually I'm just like, we gotta stick to all this existential stuff. We gotta stick to, how did your parents mess you up? What were your occupational desires? But it was just so fun talking to Brian and Quentin that we got off on some good tangents, and I'm like, maybe I should do more of these. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Coming up on the show, oh my god, a lot of great episodes, including wonderful New Zealand guitarist Roy Montgomery, Rose Melberg of the Softies, Meredith Scardino, the wonderful, the brilliant, the creator of one of my favorite shows, Girls 5 Eva. That was a great talk. I just talked to Jake Xerxes Fussell. If you don't know him, he's a guitarist from the South who kind of works in a traditional American, I want to say, rubric. And I think I'll just say that, and you get what I'm saying, even though that's not the perfect word. A traditional American rubric. But he does his own thing, and we had a brilliant talk. So stay tuned for those. But for now, let's talk to Brian and Quentin. Oh yeah, ever since private equity got into Hollywood, it's basically like whatever juices the stock price, they'll do. So if that means like throwing away a movie or just dumping it all on streaming in one day and then forgetting about it, that's the new model. It's whatever makes very rich people happier, and then everyone else can go fuck themselves.
That sounds on brand.
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah. So
when you like actually go over it again, that sucks.
Yeah, I'm laughing ruefully. Like, it's not, I'm like, ha ha ha. I'm like watching the industry fall apart around me. I'm like, well, I'm too old to do anything else at this point, and do anything else well, probably. And I'm like, uh-oh.
That's deep. That's deep.
Is it?
No, for real. Like, it sounds like a real, like, like a real coming story. Like you see the world falling apart. You can't do anything. It sounds like you could take that and make a nice Marvel movie out of it. I don't know, something like
Oh,
that.
he said Marvel. Oh, all right. Let's just end the conversation. New thing.
I forgot he's pretentious towards that brand.
That shit's stupid.
Look, I can talk Marvel, I can talk Criterion, whatever you guys want to talk. I can talk about deep X-Men history, or I can talk about Godard and whatever else. So
No.
I'm interested, though, from your point of view. Are you watching? Like, I am curious. Like, the music industry was the first industry to kind of start falling apart. Like back in the early 2000s, I guess, when like, Napster came about.
Napster, yep.
I'm kind of curious. Like, when you start making music, do you look at the landscape? Did that affect you in any way? Like, I think you guys are younger than me, and I'm just like, I'm always curious about when people, like, I at least had like the 80s and the 90s where things were like kind of okay and it didn't feel bad. Like living didn't feel bad. And that tricked me into like going into something kind of risky or trying to do something risky. And I'm wondering if when you started making music, if it affected you at all, or if you're just like, well, I'm going to do what I want anyway.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know how you feel about this, Ryan, but for me, it didn't at first because the blog era, which is like predominantly where we kind of came up in, like the early 2010s, we had Tyler, Kendrick, Earl, Odd Future, A$AP Rocky, you know, that era, it was so much creativity going on. So I wasn't really thinking about that. You just wanted to put the most like dopest shit out because everybody was being experimental in the early 2010s. So around like the SoundCloud era, like 2015, 2016, I started to see like what was coming, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, that's when I started thinking about the shit. When the streaming took over and Drake was getting these crazy ass streams and like the monopoly on all these platforms was, when the algorithms start really becoming a thing, that's when I started getting depressed and was like, man, nobody want to hear like shit we're doing. They just want to hear Drake. I don't feel like that anymore this year. I'm going to say that, and we'll get more into that later. But at first I didn't, short story. And then for a while I did, and now I'm pretty confident in the music industry moving forward.
I don't know. I've always wanted an impact even early on as a kid. I wanted to write some impactful words that will reach out across the world. So with me being able to embark today upon the world and be able to move to different countries, and it's been a big dream come true for me. And
so you feel like the music industry didn't impact you, bro? Like you kind of strayed off.
The music industry did.
Yeah, coming into this, like, how do you feel about you straight off? You be doing that sometimes. I don't say shit, but I'm gonna catch you though.
I didn't really feel impacted by the music industry. It was just like, I was going through a tough time, me personally as a kid, and I needed an outlet. So it was like, I knew music was a thing. So I wanted to work on music. The music didn't call me. I guess I called the music. If that makes sense.
Do you feel like going into it, did you feel intimidated though, bro? Like, did you feel like...
No, I didn't feel intimidated.
Like, by like just the industry, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how like they promote different shit is what he's saying.
No, I didn't feel intimidated because I can do anything. I've used to practice music early on as a kid. I used to listen to country songs. I used to listen to house music. And I would try to rap to all of that. I would listen to rock and didn't even know who I was listening to or what I was listening to. I knew I was vibing with it. So it was like, okay, if I've practiced since 9 and I'm 28 now. So I feel like I can do anything at this point. I'm not intimidated by anything. I wasn't intimidated. If anything, my favorite artist was Lil Wayne. I used to print up his lyrics at my mom's job and just like read his lyrics off and try to imitate him or just like be like him.
By the way, I just realized there's 2 people on this. Do you want to introduce yourself so people know you're the different voices?
Oh shit! I like how this went. I like how this just went. Yo, this is Brian from ABM, Angry Blackmen. What's up?
This is Quentin from Angry Blackmen.
Great. Okay. Now we can, because there's 2. I feel like right away we got 2 different philosophies. We got
off the rip. Off the rip.
Yeah, because when he grew up, he wasn't into music like how I was. So it was like it was ingrained in me because my dad was a DJ and he was a producer.
But he was asking like, were you intimidated about the current landscape? You kind of veered off. So that was my.
Oh no. That was my. I mean, I hope I answered it by just saying like, no, went into it head first, like not intimidated, not scared of anything. I knew what I wanted to become early on.
Did you not know that the industry was kind of cratering, or did you not care? I guess that's.
I didn't care. I didn't really
Yeah,
care.
I kind of assumed he did. Because I was like, this nigga just ignored the whole question. He's like, I love music. I was like, this nigga don't care about it.
Well, that could be like you, like it didn't matter to you. Like no, like you weren't gonna let anything stop you, even if it was, you know.
I wasn't gonna let anything stop me. I was gonna become what I wanted to become as an early child. So.
Yeah, see, that shit was affecting me. I ain't gonna hold you. I talked to Brian about this. It really like the end of the 2010s when like the algorithms were like super. Everybody was just listening to what they listened to, and they didn't care to find new shit. Yeah, that was starting to affect me. I ain't gonna lie. Getting into it, no, I didn't care. Because, you know, the early 2010s, like I explained, it was just so much creativity going on. But towards that end, where Drake became the force he did, and that's all people were listening to, oh, yeah. I felt like this, and it was just bad, you know? Nobody was looking for new shit.
Yeah.
The stream, you know, nobody's getting paid shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yes, I know that.
I'm optimistic now, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, for such a long time, we kept saying, like, the algorithm. And then you actually, like, I look at what's recommended to me, and I'm like, if this thing is supposed to be so, quote-unquote, smart or so well coded or whatever, that it's supposed to anticipate what I'm supposed to like, it sucks shit. I, like, look at, like, the Netflix algorithm, and it recommends the worst stuff to me, and I'm like, I don't watch anything like this. And I don't really... I don't really like use Spotify or anything like that, but I have to imagine they're all like that. And if people are just like, if someone's like a casual music consumer and they just like, oh, well, I guess this is telling me what I'm supposed to like, then it just keeps regurgitating garbage to people. And I think maybe we're getting out of that. I don't know. You guys are professional musicians. You might have a better view on this than me, but I think you're right, Quinn, that we're exiting it, but I don't know what we're exiting it into.
I'm hopeful. Like I said, the whole Drake Kendrick shit just made me so hopeful.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, that made me, and just all the albums that's being dropped this year, I'm like very happy because I was super depressed about the current state of the industry last year. And I would talk to Brian and Derek. I'm like, niggas ain't even looking for this shit like that no more. Everybody is in a bubble. I remember when we talked about this, Brian. I was like, that was a big thing when they dropped that the artists you listen to yearly, and I was looking at everybody's shit, and it was the same shit. Oh, buddy, I was depressed about that shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember talking about it, and I remember having some personal thoughts to myself. Like, is everybody looking at it in the lamest terms? Like, is everybody brainwashed, or is nobody just not making appealing shit to the human ear? Like, what's really going on here?
It's too many humans out, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's stuck in a bubble. Like, it's so much appealing shit out there, but nobody looking for it.
Why? What's not calling them? What's about Drake that's just calling him? Is it because he's just been in the centerfold for super long, or like?
It's you know what's crazy? I don't even think I can't even blame the people. I blame like these big companies. Like they push him for you to like. And I was telling this to my friend Darian. He was like, "No, people look for him." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a group of people that look for him, but he's being pushed everywhere. Stuff like that is being pushed everywhere. Like, you cannot sit here and tell me like they're not going to push certain artists more than they push others. That's just you're bullshitting. Like, that's the facts. They do that.
No,
that was my opinion. My bad. I ain't trying to. I'm passionate about that shit.
Actually, a artist that I just was finished. I was watching this story. Chance the Rapper, he was just saying like it's been taking him 3 years for a rollout because he's trying to get everybody. He's like, I'm not using any companies, I'm not using any placements, I'm not paying no publishing, I'm not doing none of that. I'm doing this my way, how I want it. And he's been
that's beautiful. And I wish like somebody as big as Drake would. Dude, if Drake went independent, ooh, he would change this whole shit up. But he's not. And that's what's frustrating.
I think there's like a bunch of things. One of them is I think people are really exhausted. And it takes a lot of energy to kind of, even with something like Bandcamp, like I'm like, you know what? I don't know a lot of in the last year, like, oh, you know what? I don't know a lot of new people in the world of hip hop. So I went and looked like who on Bandcamp, like Open Mike Eagle, who also like, what are the recommendations at the bottom of that page? And then I went and listened to them and then found their recommendations. I don't have kids though. I don't have kids and I have a flexible job. So I can write at 2 a.m. if I want to like fuck around and look up bands. Right.
That's awesome. I think that's all. I think more people need to be like you. That's actually
But
looking for this.
I think a lot of people are like tired. They have kids. They have like demanding jobs, and
Yeah,
it's really difficult. I know it's like all my friends with kids can't do the thing that. So I think that's part of it. And the other end of it, things have become so corporate to the point where people want such a high return on their investment. They're going to. I think Quentin, you're right. They're going to push Drake because they're like, well, we know he can make money for us. And it's also, I mean, my wife and I have a joke about this in the TV industry. I don't know what it's like in music, and maybe you can both speak on it, but like in the TV industry, at the end of the day, the person who has the say over what gets made or what gets done or how it's promoted is some white guy named Craig with an MBA, right? And it's his
That's
taste,
great.
and his tastes are probably shitty. So
Damn.
Nah, you spin. It sucks.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah. Damn.
nah, you spin for real.
So-
They got the say at the end of the day. It's like you can be as progressive or do anything you want. At the end of the day, if that person doesn't pass that shit, if he doesn't have the mind to want to push boundaries, it's shit ain't gonna go nowhere.
sorry, I didn't mean to bring you down into my pit with me.
No, you speaking the truth, man. I mean, we got to face reality sometimes, but also, like I said, I'm hopeful. It's good things that's gonna come out of this. Like it's not all, I love movies too, man. I'm a big movie and media guy. Some of like the most interesting eras is where things like in film history is where things change. Where shit's like pushed against the grain. Like for instance, like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, who created the blockbuster. You know what I'm saying? Like at that time, that wasn't like a very popular thing. But now it sucks because they kind of create a whole fucking wormhole. That's more of that later. But at the time, they were so creative and they wanted like Star Wars changed everything in the movie industry. Like, and it was just George Lucas. He just wanted to do his thing. He was like upset at the current industry as well at the time. So it does push. Like I said, like I'm very hopeful for like this decade, the 2020s, moving forward after this Drake and Kendrick shit, because it just showed me that people like Kendrick's whole fucking shit went up after this, and people were very interested in him again. And he was always there, but he just wasn't being pushed like a Drake like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful.
No, I like your optimism. I think you're right. I think like as it all falls apart, there are a lot of opportunities to do something cool and interesting in the spaces of the foundation crumbling.
Yeah. Because I mean, we dropped the album this year, and like I don't know, man, people are looking for new shit, and I think that's part of the reason. I do think because we've been doing this for a long time, and this is the year that we kind of popped off. It was the time. Like we just no matter how much we did, earlier on, it just wasn't sticking with a lot of people. And I just think now people are tired of like the bullshit. I mean, I talked to Brian about this a lot. Like it had to take George Floyd, it had to take COVID, it had to take like this time right now for this to like really catch traction. And I'm not trying to be pretentious or anything, because I used to wonder, I'm like, damn, why can't I blow up at like 25 or so? I'm 29 now. Why can't I be like a 22-year-old, young rap phenomenon? It's just like sometimes it don't happen like that for people.
Also, I don't think you'd want that. Like the people I know who got famous young are assholes now. So
yeah, no, you're right. No, absolutely. I don't want at the time though. It's like, oh man, now it's like, yeah, you're right. I can handle this much better. I'm not out here being stupid. Like I know what I want. Yeah, everything happens for like a good reason and time. So shout out to Brian. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to just hip hop, man. Shout out to creatives, that's still doing this shit.
Fact.
Gwen, you're from St. Petersburg, right?
I was born there. I'm from Chicago, though. I was born in Florida, though.
You were born in Florida. When did your family move to Chicago?
I want to say maybe like early teens, like 10, 11. Is that teens? Nah. Yeah. Early childhood there.
But Florida was like, so you formed as a person kind of in Florida.
Nah, not really. I barely remember it, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't even really know anything. My sister lives in Fort Lauderdale. I don't really know much about Florida, though, outside of visiting her once or twice.
Yeah, it's hot. Yeah, Brian, you're strictly from Chicago, right? Like, yeah, you're born here, right, bro? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because you said it like 2-3 different times. Like,
the most laconic. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Chicago streets all day, every day, street blood. Chicago. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, Chicago.
Little dumbass.
North side, right?
Yes, sir. Proud of it. Not from the South, not from the West, nor the East.
What does that mean? Like, what is I've been to Chicago before, but I don't really know the areas that well.
North side is supposed to be known as the better side of versus the east and the south and the west, but all sides are bad. No matter where you go, nobody has a barrier, nobody has a fence. The ghetto can come into the rich can come into the ghetto. It's, violence happens everywhere. It's a beautiful town. I can argue just my personal opinion. The streets are stupid. The way they built the streets, the turns and turnpikes and dip offs is stupid. It will confuse you. It will frustrate your day. It will make you go off on somebody. I think that's probably what's wrong with Chicago people. But
sounds like LA.
Yeah.
I hate LA.
Yeah, me too. When I live here.
Man, I'm A-okay. I'll just stay where I'm at in my Rocky Mountains.
I mean, I'm pretty close too. Like, I'm in New Mexico right now, so.
Like, you're living there, or you're just there?
Oh yeah, I live here now. For a while I didn't tell many people, but as of this year, I've been kind of mentioning it in podcasts and stuff. Yeah, I moved to New Mexico like 2 years ago.
Do you like it?
I do. It's very different. It's like I said, whereas LA is like hyper capitalistic and it's very Blade Runner. It's like Chicago, but I still like Chicago more than LA. But anyways, you don't have that big city like urban decay. Ultra capitalistic. It just doesn't have that. Everybody's kind of happy where they're at, even if they don't have shit. And the people that do have shit don't want more. They're just happy. If in my opinion, it feels like everybody's happy. But we're getting a lot of California people, and like they're not happy about that.
That they have California people there.
Yeah, they're not happy about
ruining the vibe, ruining the happiness.
Yeah, they're like but I like it, man.
New Mexico, wherever. I don't know. I feel like the entire United States is, like you said earlier, Andy, just exhausted, just tired from 2020, and just lost loved ones. Broken relationships, started new jobs. I think the world is just still dealing with the aftermath of COVID still.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Me and Q was talking like back in 2020. It was like, this is going to be like after this year is probably going to be like a 5-year, 6-year cleanup of this.
I remember we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if we're lucky, it'll be that. It'll be just 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
If we're lucky.
Dang, man. You just
it was supposed to be.
I read too many scientific papers on COVID.
Oh, this was supposed to be like the Roaring '20s, man.
What you said?
This was supposed to be like the modern day Roaring '20s. We were supposed to be up, like jazz was supposed to be. Hip hop was supposed to be like the new jazz. We were supposed to be having a good time.
We trying shit. Government do stupid shit.
Well, yeah. I have a theory though, because the Roaring '20s was right after the Spanish flu in 1918, right?
Oh yeah.
And I wonder if that was just a reaction to like everyone's sick, all these people died. It's still going on. Like it's still happening in the 20s. Like it's not like it was just like, it's the same thing with like COVID. It's not like it just like ended.
Oh.
And I think everyone's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Cause I think that's what's going on now. Everyone's just kind of just like, fuck it. I don't care what happens.
That's a very good point. That's a very good. I never even thought about that. I always loved like the Roaring '20s and Scott Fitzgerald, Great Gatsby. I'm a fan of that whole era. And I didn't think about that shit. But they do mention the Spanish flu, and then like the '30s hit right after Great Depression. So fuck, yeah. I don't know.
I think there's something fucked up economically going on in the background, and we're all kind of like slightly aware of it. And I think that's contributing to like, all right, it's gonna fall apart. Might as well just have fun and do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. You're right.
That's why when I like talk to people that are younger than me, I apologize again for bringing you down into my pit of despair. I'll keep
fine.
Apologizing.
You're the right dude to have around, like to just slap you back reality, slap you right back to it.
But that's the thing. When I talk to people younger than me, and I'm just like, do you grow up with a spirit? Because like you're both like, I mean, you're born before 9/11, but you grow up in the wake of it, right? Do you grow up with this kind of just like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want to do attitude? Or is it more like, well, I better like try to find something that will, I can have a steady job and I can have a steady family or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And my answer to that is like, I mean, niggas that been through 9/11, niggas that seen the stock market crash, the housing market in 2008, niggas that seen the black president, niggas that seen the rise of Black Lives Matter and social media. At that point, I just feel like you're molded into like, I'm gonna do me.
Yeah.
Cause like so much is going on, and we were getting so much information in like the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? The only like sense of normalcy, like I would say, or even like the only sense of like I saw what you saw was at the end of the '90s and the early 2000s, and I get the I get the feeling it was like that before this big shift, if that makes any sense.
Mm,
So it's like, because were you born in like the '80s or early '90s? What were
yeah.
you?
79 actually.
'79. Okay, so yeah, that's really cool because you got to see like before social media took its like big pause and was like, and then I don't know. I think that's really cool, man. But yeah, we came in towards the end of that. I'm sure you saw the signs though. You saw where this was going.
I mean, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand it. And I've been obsessed now with going back to like figure out how it all fell apart and like where it all went wrong. I mean, it started doing that before I was even born. It's really like the 70s where it starts to get fucked up.
Oh yeah,
It takes like 20 some odd years for it to really hit. And I think like Bush being given like the Supreme Court, my demarcation is the Supreme Court stopping the recount in Florida and just giving the election to Bush.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I've been reading about that.
And then from there on, it was just kind of like, all right, everyone's just gonna.
You talk about the first Bush.
No, the
yeah, I
second
remember
Bush.
reading about that. The second,
his son, yeah, in 2000.
Oh, okay, in 2000.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been
It's had to run, boy.
articles since then that's been like, oh yeah, Al Gore would have won if they wouldn't have stopped the recount, but they did. So
that's true. He was going against Al Gore, and that was like a big thing when he lost. I remember like just seeing that discussion as a kid.
But like you become adults after that, so I think that is interesting. Where Brian, did you have the same thing? Where you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, after just facing death in the face and several just disappointments, just with life and personal life and just outside social media, music industry, I'm just like, you can't take it with you. So you might as well do something that's going to help impact while you're here. So that way, when you're gone, it's just you're paying it forward in a different direction.
That's
and hopefully
beautiful.
it goes in a more healthier, different direction.
Wait, when you say facing death, do you like literally mean that, or do you mean just like in general?
I literally mean that, like just seeing dead loved ones, going to funerals,
I
staring
mean,
at the
bro,
body.
you got a gun pulled on you, bro.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Been
it's
through
good.
that and been through several shootouts, so it's like after you go through that, PTSD, whatever, hits you and existentialism hits you, and you just like, yeah, I needs to do something. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You don't have forever. So it's like, I might as well go out with a bang and do what I love to do, not what I like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's real
like
important.
when that shit happens to you, is there therapy? Like, how do you even start to deal with any of it? Because that seems like super traumatic.
Just writing down. I never went to therapy. I think that's probably what's wrong with me now today. But I try to use the music. Well, I don't try. I do use the music as therapy, and that's just. I'm not trying to hint towards like a new project coming out, but I really do use writing as therapy for what's happened in my life.
Yeah.
It's don't like even growing up as a kid and just dealing with and I'm gonna just be honest, like just dealing with a broken household, it makes you sit down and just, as a kid, I just started to write. I was writing in Scribble Scrabble before I was actually forming words. And then I started to just get comfortable with just shitting out thoughts on a page. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, bro, if you think about it, this whole album was like kind of a therapy session.
Yeah, it was.
In a sense. Because we had we wrote this shit. I was out here, you were over there. But, we all had I was in a car crash, like, right before the album dropped.
Jeez.
And I know you were dealing with your own. Yeah. It's crazy. Only walked out with a bruise. Nothing else. If I showed you the pictures to the cars, you would think more happened. But it was me and my girlfriend at the time. And it was in Santa Fe. I just had walked out with one bruise. I was fine. And that's what really, like, pushed me to want to make this album, like, as great as it could be. And I'm glad it seems like it kind of paid off. But this album was like our fucking backs were against the wall and shit.
Yeah, because I remember before the car crash, I remember Q used to be like, just in general and just naturally, he used to be a little hesitant on life. And then it's like after that happened, he'd just be more, I throw an idea. He's just like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's see how it go.
Yeah, 100%.
That seems to be like the best place, not the trauma that leads up to it, but like that kind of like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this. That place, like, seems to be a very good creative space to be in, because I think some of the best stuff comes from it. I'm not advocating for trauma before that, but I'm saying, does that make sense?
No, I know what you're saying. But definitely, when like shit happens like that, it definitely pushes you, for better or for worse.
Like the dumb version of that is thinking about like Mark Maron, who basically like burned all his bridges in showbiz and then started the podcast because he had literally nothing left. Because he had.
I didn't know that. I like his podcast. He interviewed Tarantino, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I watched a couple of his shit.
But like, it's that kind of like, that's the dumber version of it, where because he fucked himself over. Like, that's his own fault.
Mm.
And that's another thing too. Like with this industry, man. Like this industry is not based on talent. It's really based on relationship and what you're going to do for yourself and what when you having other like-minded people around.
Yeah, but the talent does play a part, though, for sure.
It does.
Not as big as a part is what you're saying, but I see what you're saying, bro.
No. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, you talk to a motherfucker that's been doing music since 9. It's like, I'm not even speaking on talent because it's like that's beneath me at this point, but I'm just focusing more on like just the relationships, because I could do the talent with my eyes closed.
You know
what I'm saying? So it's like, I see more of the bigger picture, like, oh, it takes this to keep this going. You know what I'm saying? Relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's just life, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't think I think I grew up with this idea of a meritocracy, that if you were the best at whatever you did, you rose to the top. And then, especially moving out to LA, I mean, I've been doing this for about 10 years. And moving out to LA really opened my eyes, where I saw like just how many. I told my wife this morning, I was just like, oh, they should have a phrase for like whites that just got a job in the industry because they were friends with someone at college, as mediocrity hires, because there's so many mediocrity hires in this business, who was like, well, I knew this guy. And so I think talent does make a difference in a lot of cases. And I think there are, like, if you are very talented, you eventually, and you stick around, you will rise. Mm-hmm. But you have to get through a lot of those. You have to really weather a lot of those mediocrity. Yeah, a lot of the mediocrity hires with a smile to get to that point. Unless you get lucky. It's also, there's a lot of luck too.
That's like, you just kind of broke down damn near fucking America. Like in a nutshell. Because it is like a lot of white people that get these opportunities, they don't realize it because they're white, and no disrespect. I mean, I'm sure they do.
No disrespect.
After the fact.
No disrespect. I'll do the disrespect.
They probably find out after the fact, like, damn, I got this shit because I was white. But now, I'm not saying I want to knock all white people. There's some white people out there that generally put in the work, but
no, it's not all.
But on average, if we being honest, like if they know something, especially if you went to college, bro, and you meet like a whole bunch of people, you meet the whole unit, oh, bro, you good.
Yeah.
It's really opportunity to be dividing people. Like, I know like more black people are going to college, but it's more black women on average, but it's those opportunities, you know what I'm saying? And we're just now starting to get the pocket. We're just now like making money. Like what? The black middle class, it was like a thing in the 80s I remember reading. That was the pocket right there. And the 80s wasn't that long ago. Fuck.
Really?
Like we trying to play catch up and shit.
So, Quentin, what brings your family to Chicago? Like, why'd you guys leave Florida?
I think it was a lot of shit with my mom. She was bouncing around. It was like a guy she was seeing at the time had family down there, and that's one of the reasons why she left. But a lot of my family was from Chicago. And, just kind of doing history, I realized like it's because a lot of us came from the South. So Chicago was the Mecca during the Great Migration. So she was just trying new things, I would say, and I just happened to be born down there. And then shortly we moved to New York for a while, and then we moved to Chicago. It was like a lot of bouncing around, because people were trying to find themselves in like the 90s. So.
Yes, I remember.
I was there on that grateful day.
I'm a 96 baby, so my memory only stretched so far into the 90s.
94, baby. I remember the only year I remember is like 99, bro. To be honest.
Why? What was 99? Anything special?
The greatest year in movie history. Yeah, Phantom Menace pop out. I remember that was a kid. I remember The Mummy coming out of movie theaters. I remember Toy Story 2 coming out. I was having a fucking ball in '99. I remember
Like
Y2K Scare.
the first Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
having a
could
ball
never
in
watch
'99.
them. As a kid, that movie terrified me, so I never watched it. I would like to
Dude, it's
watch
so
it now.
great. Yeah, you need to. It's like that's my childhood. I love that movie so much. Sucks about Brendan Fraser though.
Andy, you talking to a person that wakes up now. I just turn on The Conjuring for a morning watch. I'm fine.
No, but you've been getting tapped in though. Stop it. Don't you downplay yourself. You've been watching There Will Be Blood. You've been watching all the prestige shit I've been bitching about like the last since I know you and shit.
Yeah, those are actually good. Now I allow you to be prestige and all of that. Take that to its highest arc. That There Will Be Blood. I did not get to Eraserhead yet.
I fucking hate that movie.
Really?
Yeah, David Lynch. He's like, I don't want to get it to. He's like I want to love him more, but you know.
I love Mulholland Drive. That's one of my favorites.
I do too, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. When I saw it as a kid, because the two women on the DVD were like hot to me, and I was like 11. I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. I was like, what is this? Oh my god! I watched. I was so confused, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's so funny how many movies I have seen just because I'm like, well, that woman, I like that. I'm like, she looks pretty.
Yeah,
on the box. I guess I'll watch this, and then it's the fucking worst.
See,
I got traumatized by that. Like the movie 13. You ever see 13?
No, I did. The one with Jim Carrey?
No, not that one. It's like these two. It's like these two high schoolers like doing just crazy. It's kind of like the movie Kids.
Oh no, I've never seen it. Oh, 13. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
There's some Jim Carrey film where, like, when he got serious, and it was called, like, The Number Something.
Yeah, I remember that. It's like 23 or some shit, and it was like, I heard it was bad. Was it that? Yeah. I heard it was, like, terrible.
Honestly, you could say any number, and I would have been like, that's it. You got it. That's the one.
Andy, you ever seen The Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
That's like a classic. Everybody's seen that.
You're short. You're super sharp. I can't touch you.
Yeah. I feel like every movie, like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like every movie person has seen A Clockwork Orange.
True. What about this one-off movie? It's called Harold in My Day. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop asking you questions. You've seen everything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, he lives in LA.
It's my industry.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's why I got into. That's why I wanted to do this. I mean, a lot of those kind of films.
True.
I used to want to be a director, man.
Speaking of which, was there something you wanted to do before you got into music? Or was it like from the jump, it's always going to be music?
I wanted to be a movie director. I wanted to do like screenplays and shit. Or like, first was like a comic book artist, and I was like, they really don't make a lot of, it's hard. I saw how, the industry is hard. Then I was like, ooh, film director, movies. And I was like, I never actually put it behind me. So maybe in the future I'll pursue that.
Yeah.
But, it just got paused. I was just like, this music thing it's fun.
Was that just idle? You're like, oh, I want to do this. Did you try to draw your own comics? Did you?
Oh, absolutely. I had all my old, like, a lot of old comics that they're at my stepdad's house right now. Like, just drawing. And me and my brother used to draw like all the time, like our own stories. And then like we loved anime and shit, so we would draw the comics, and then we would have action figures to like base off the comics. Like we would follow the storyline of the comics, like with our action figures. So that was like the early like, oh yeah, what is this called? Like it was like a form of screenwriting directing.
That's a form of like claymation, damn near like stop. You know what I'm saying? Stop frame work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Yeah, we were following like a script.
Y'all was truly ahead of y'all time. Y'all should, boy, if y'all was coming up and, like TikTok was back then, y'all would have been famous by now.
yeah. No.
So when did that dream die, or when did it fall away? At least if you say like, well, I can still do it.
Talk about the directing or just like that side. I would say it got halted when I delved more into music, and they started. I was like, oh, this is cool. When I got introduced to artists like Tyler the Creator, because for a long time I did not like hip hop. I think Brian hinted at before. He said, "You didn't grow up with music." It's not that I didn't grow up with it. I just didn't care for. I didn't really care for hip hop. It was the bling era.
Oh yeah,
fucking Chingy and shit.
Fucking hated that era.
And I ain't trying to hear that shit. I didn't care for Lil Wayne at the time. Now I love Lil Wayne, but at the time I was like, "Ooh, this is
not going." It was an era I did not care for Lil Wayne. I didn't always care for Lil Wayne.
When Lollipop and shit came out, then I started with like, okay, I kind of like Lil Wayne.
Like, I get this motherfucker now.
Yeah, like, I get it. It was definitely the early 2010s where I made the shift. Where like more artists that I could relate to, like a Tyler or a Childish Gambino, or like early Kendrick. Yeah, when they started popping up, I was like, oh. When I found out about Doom,
Yes.
I was like, okay, Danny Brown. I was like, when I found that whole other world, I was like, okay, you don't have to really make like the mainstream, what people think of rap. No disrespect to that, but it was definitely a certain thing that was getting pushed at the time. If we want to talk about shit being pushed, because Doom wasn't getting pushed like that.
Here's an interesting thing about me. I remember hearing Doom because my dad got every record you can think of under the sun in the basement, right? I felt like I heard Doom, but I did not know it was Doom until like years later. People was like really putting me on, and I was too afraid to be like, yeah, I heard this, because then I felt like people was gonna pull my car and be like, oh, well, what you know about this? Who is that? Where did he come from? You know what I'm saying?
They were gonna quiz you on it.
Yeah, and I'd be like, I heard the song, I fuck with it, but I didn't look deep into it. I'm sorry, my dad was DJ. He was just scratching shit together.
Yeah, Adult Swim put me on Doom. Shout out to Adult Swim.
Yeah. See, I didn't have Shazam back then, so I was too lazy to like look shit up.
I was lucky that I was a DJ at the college radio station, and so there was like a whole bunch of new stuff that flooded into my brain at that time.
Damn.
At that time, you were but kids.
You just little bro.
Like,
you say, oh, it's little niggas.
Yeah, I was just beginning to form the like for music during that time.
Well, because you're talking about like the early 2000s, right? Is this the time we're talking about?
So like, what, 6 years old, maybe 7?
Yeah. I wish I was like a fucking teenager in the early 2000s. Probably lit.
Yeah.
Niggas having probably the time of their life.
Nah. I remember growing up with a teenager, my brother. He was just like on the computer trying to get on Tag, trying to get on MySpace, trying to talk to girls.
Your brother was born in 91 or 90?
I want to say 91. No.
Nah, see, I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about niggas born like 85, like 79 to like 85. And then
I really want to know, like, how did y'all occupy y'all time during that? Like, what did y'all even do for real?
It was outside for real.
Like me, I was outside.
Yeah. You played outside. You hung out with your friends. You played basketball. You went and got Coke. You went and got 20-ounce Cokes at Giant. You hung out in the Blockbuster parking lot.
I read that wrong too. I was like, Coke, hold on.
No, it was about right. That's about the speed of the 80s. Damn.
But like, I'm curious, at what point do you say, I'm going to actually make a concert effort? Like, I not only do I want to do this, but I'm going to actually start, making music.
Yeah. But for me, it was like during the end of high school, like I said, when I got introduced to that whole world, I was just like, I'm a dabble in this. And I went to college for a while, and it was something I did while I was in college, but it was like around there, I was like, maybe like this could actually really work if I if I stick to it. I just didn't know how long it was going to take until I started seeing some, the result. Had I known, I would have stopped. If I had a future quit and come back, you're going to pop off in like the year 2024. It's 2014 and shit, but keep going. It's going to be a lot that happens. I would be like, nah, nigga, I'm going to just go to college. Fuck this.
Facts. Whole time, I ain't gonna lie. Like, when I was in high school, like, I remember the teachers. I got my own little taste of Hollywood when I was in high school, and I was working on music when teachers I used to do talent shows, and teachers used to come out to talent shows, and they'd see I would be making whole songs and everything. So they'd be like, you know what? We want you for the senior graduation breakfast ceremony. Can you come up with a rap and drop that for us May 30th? And it'll be like October, and I'll be like, that's so long away for me to get my shine. Like, and I'll just be sitting there. I make my music, and just have to sit there and wait. But I got a taste of just working until that day of release. I got a taste of just not just working on it one day and then putting it away. I worked on it day in and day out, finished it, revised it, finished it, revised, until it just got to my perfection. I say I have my own little taste of Hollywood in high school, or just dealing with what I'm dealing with today. I dealt with in high school, and I didn't even know it. Is what I'm trying to say.
It was like preparation.
Yeah, it was like preparation that I didn't even see coming.
So like, I think for both of us, it was like around high school that we kind of were like, this could be something. We didn't know each other, by the way. We met like, you know, later on. So
Yeah, like after high school.
Yeah. I read some interview where someone was like, hey, you're a rapper. I know another rapper. It reminded me of like when like there's two queer people in a small town and someone's like, hey, you're queer and you're queer. You guys should.
That's damn Eric. It was Eric. He was white too. Shout out to Eric. He was like, you're a rapper. He had like good intentions though. He was like, man, my homie he rap.
He did.
Come to his music video. Shout out to Eric.
I feel a little old because this was when I was working at Kmart.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Kmart is not even a thing anymore. I found an old Kmart receipt.
I was in my head. I was just like, oh wait, but there's still one in New York, and then I'm like, oh no, I guess it's gone now.
Ooh.
There was one on like 34th, I think. I used to, when I first moved there, I had some terrible jobs around there, and I would just go in there to hide during lunch hour.
Wow.
That sounds about right. That was me at Walmart, and I used to work there.
No, I wasn't hiding because like Eric, he started to become like a real cool person at work that I like to work with. So like whenever he would come in, I would just be hanging with him. That's like, I was hanging with him so heavy. That's why he put me on 2Q. Because I was messing with him super heavy.
Yeah, because I knew Eric through my homie Ryan. And I would see him every blue moon. Remember he texted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Shout out to Ryan and Eric. Shout out to the Chicago burbs, man. Shout out to the suburbs, man. Niggas don't ever shout the suburbs out. Shout out to the suburbs.
I mean, something I think about, like when I've worked with people before, there's a lot of people where maybe we're on the same creative wavelength, but we're not on the same business wavelength. Like we have different goals. You know, like when you guys start working together, like what's the chemistry like? Like how do you feel each other out for like, well, what do we want from this? You know, are we on the same, like how do you figure out if you're on the same creative page? How do you figure out if you're on the same business page? And also like you have to be friends, I think, in some to work with each other.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I want to hear your shit about. Fuck what I gotta say. I want to hear what you gotta say.
Ugly as hell, dude. Nah, I was just saying, like, at first when I came into it, like, I was like, I wanna get up that arena status. I wanna sell out arena. Yeah. And I was like, do I really want all that pressure, all that frustration? Because like the higher you get, the steeper your fall will be at some point. So it's like,
it's just more stressful too.
It's super stressful. And I was just like, nah, I'd rather fit in a niche genre, deal with a niche fan base, and just be off to myself eating. Because I look at each artist like a corner store. It's there. You really don't know much about it, but you know it's a corner store there. They making money. They're steady income, you know? So that's kind of what, you know, I molded my goals into being like, I want to eat off this. I want to be able to pay bills. I want to be able to have entertainment off this. Like, I don't need all the extra income to like really feel great about myself. I feel great about myself knowing that I saved a person's life from suicide because they listened to my words and they found some encouragement out of that. Like, that makes me more rich in spirit than my pockets. Your pockets could be rich all day, but you see Robin Williams is in here.
That's a good point.
He was unhappy about something. We will never know because we weren't close friends with him, but something, you know, Capital Steez, you know, like they all. Philip Seymour Hoffman, like, let's keep it going. Like, these people were goats. Money, don't even talk about it. Work, let's talk about it. They still wasn't happy. All the recognition in the world, still wasn't happy.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I don't want to stray off too much to his original question, but no, because I want to add my 2 cents in with that because, like, I kind of sense like Brian wasn't really trying to. I told him straight up, I'm like, bro, if we make this Angry Blackmen shit, we're not gonna probably be Beyonce level just because the idea of it. Mm-hmm. But however, we could make an impact in our own way and have a certain cult like Bad Brains-esque fan base to where it's like, you know, we're gonna be okay if we keep it focused. Like, we're not gonna be Beyonce, but we might come out this shit, you know, with our own thing, you know, and just.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I thought about that being Beyonce level, but then it was like, why would I want that? And then there's other artists that Beyonce knows that likes that not even close to her level. You know what I'm saying? That we don't even know about.
Yeah. So no, that's the one thing that kind of made me want to work with you, bro, because you kind of understood like if we do this, you know, it's gonna be good, but you know, don't
Just the
expect
name,
like to, yeah,
the type of music
don't,
we
yeah.
making, the type of sounds coming out them speakers. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a cap
But
to
but that but
everything.
that's okay though. I mean,
Yeah,
and it's not. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a cap. It's just like where the industry is going to try to box you in. Because if you look at somebody like MF Doom, the nigga wore a mask. It's a cap, but let's be real. Like the dude is extremely popular.
yeah.
Like I was walking like from the gym the other day. I saw a Doom sticker in fucking New Mexico, you know what I'm saying? A fucking Doom sticker on a stop sign. I was like, that's crazy. And I've seen like shit everywhere. So like the influence, you can't really stop the influence, but you could try to stop like the capital. You know what I'm saying? The money that flows.
And you know what? What I wanted to tell Andy too is like also when we were saying like it's only gonna get so much, it's only gonna get so big. But over time, you may pull those Beyonce numbers just over time because it's been out for that long. It's been out for too long. So now it's been forced to get up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
You
Doom,
know?
his one of his records went gold like recently.
Yeah.
I think it was Hoe Kicks.
It took time. It didn't happen instant, but it took time to get there just because it's been out long enough and people've had babies, people've raised their kids on this music, and now they're grown adults and able to put, you know, money onto this music. You know what I'm saying?
Also, he did pass away, so you know how that shit go. He got the Tupac effect. I hate to say it, but
And you know,
that's not always the case. That's not always the case. I just want to add that in there. That's what attracted me to Brian. You know,
like when I think about someone like Beyonce though, or Taylor Swift, anyone who's like mega famous, I'm very curious. I would love to know how happy they are. Maybe they are. I don't know the answer to that. It doesn't seem like they're allowed to do much, right?
Oh.
Like when you see like they're my wife was in a movie with I'm trying to think if she said any of this stuff in public. I'll just say she's been in a movie with famous people. Their lives are curated. They have assistants giving them like food at a certain time of day. It's almost like they are children. Like they have people telling them where to go and what to do. They're not allowed to say anything really in public that they can't. Like I don't know what Beyonce really believes about anything because right. She doesn't say anything. Like, you know, she is very mindful of like, well, if I piss this person off or this powerful person off, it's going to fuck everything up. So I'm just going to button down, like keep it under the skin. And, you know, it's maybe for her, it's worth it because she gets to be one of the most famous people in the world. I don't know. Again,
you get to be, but you're not being yourself.
Right.
She's a completely different person.
But some people really don't care about that though. Once they have that, it's like the Jay-Z and Kanye thing. I was watching a podcast with Candace Owens and Kanye. They say, "Hey, sue me." I know people hate that bitch, but anyways, I was watching it and she brought up one thing. She was like, "Jay-Z is kind of curated at this point," and Kanye was like, "You know, Kanye is unfiltered. Like, I believe that's really him." You know what I'm saying? The shit this nigga be saying is like, no way that he's being told to say this shit. Like, all this shit is him. But because you could see it from like the early 2000s. It just wasn't, you know, he just didn't have that microphone. You know, his mom was around. You know, he had people controlling him. You could tell in the early 2000s. Now he's so unfiltered. It's definitely him. But it's like the Jay-Z Kanye thing. Jay-Z's very orchestrated. He's very, you know, he says certain things. He does, you know, he's very like industry. Whereas Kanye is very like, you know, I'm gonna just say this, fuck it. And you know, some people do it, some people don't. But once you get that big, it's like,
well,
you're curated. You're an artificial human at that point.
Maybe in Kanye's case, it's not the best example.
Oh yeah, this is not the best example. This is not. This nigga be saying some off the wall dumbass shit. But I'm just saying. You know, this nigga saying some off the wall shit.
We find out Beyonce is like really into QAnon and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, it was she maybe should have like not said anything out loud.
Yeah, but it's something. Something you know to admire about that. Like if somebody as big as him saying dumb shit, even though he's fucking up his like life, it's like, well, you know, at least it's honest, even if it's wrong. Like at least this is honestly him, and it sucks, but I'm sure there's better examples of that.
But that's such a basic, simple necessity that I think all big artists need. They need to be allowed to feel wrong. They need to be allowed to be wrong. They need to be held accountable. Go out there and say something stupid, just so the world can spit it back in your face and you feel some type of way about it. So you know not to do that stupid shit again.
I agree, man. We can't even do that nowadays. Like nowadays, cancel culture not real, but definitely like, you know, it's like. It's real to some people, I would say. some people are not affected like the Kanye, and then some people are affected. That's my
People
opinion.
that
on
are
cancel
affected
culture.
are usually the powerless people, like the people,
Yes.
at least in my industry, who spoke up about what's going on in Gaza and then got dropped by their management or can't get work now. Like that's the cancel culture I've seen.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. But the other side of that shit don't exist. I don't care what nobody says.
Or like the women who spoke up about Louis, right? Louis C.K. Those women aren't really working. He's back to working. Like it doesn't. That's why I'm like, when I hear people, I know you didn't say this, but it's just like when I hear about cancel culture, I'm like, it's the powerless people that are getting canceled, and not anyone in power.
I agree. And if it does, if it is like somebody in power, it takes a long time. I mean, look at Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah,
that shit took a long time, bro.
Yeah, you have to become less powerful. You have to no longer have the power. You have to stop making money for people, and then they won't protect you anymore.
What about Diddy?
I think he stopped making money for people. I think he got he hit a crest, and he was on the other side of it, and he wasn't making money in the same way he was before.
That's a good point. His Bad Boys record was huge, and like Bad Boys don't fucking exist no more. Biggie is dead.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg revamped like Death Row Records just from
Yeah, but he left that shit. He left that world.
Yeah, he sure did. He came back. Now he owns it.
Because then he went with Master P. That was like a big thing. After he left Death Row, he did shit with Master P. And like
Master P was like mentoring him and stuff like that, I believe.
Yeah, but I cancel culture shit. I want people to be genuine. I mean, going back to the original thing, we don't want to be too big where it's like you ain't fucking genuine no more. That shit is just ass to me.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fun.
No, fuck that. I'm gonna be genuine whether people like it or not. I don't give a fuck. I'm me. That's how I got here. Yeah. That's how I'm exiting.
Did your parents have any expectations for what they wanted you to do?
Heck yeah. Boy, my mama wanted me to be a teacher. She wanted me to go be a doctor and something. And I was just like, nah, I don't want all that. I was like, that don't tickle me. This music, it tickles me. Like at first I thought sports tickle me, but then I was like, nah, I got to do something a little more mental and less physical, a little more mental. And I said, music is the right selection for me. So no, I didn't pay attention to none of my parents and what they wanted me to do. And my dad, he wanted me to go into like what he did, which is like aviation, work at the airport, become a train conductor. I said, no, music tickles me. How about you, Q?
Yeah, I guess that's yeah, I was thinking too. I actually really was thinking before I wanted to answer. I was like, I think my mom, I mean, I feel like being black and what we were like, we're not too far removed from like, segregation and all that shit. This, whatever you want to call it, the new generation of black youth, the millennial generation, whatever, cusp or Gen Z, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. I think it's like an expectation of us to do great regardless of what we do. And I mean, they had expectations, but at the end of the day, isn't this what you kind of want? You want like black people to like have the freedom, because white kids do this shit all the time. I'm not gonna be a doctor, mom. I'm gonna do this, and they end up doing that shit. Granted, they're white and they got more opportunities. It's easier, quote unquote, on paper, but it's like we want, you want black kids like to have like a type of freedom. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of glad like we're doing this shit. Because nobody really, like, we're like, I'm like the first person in my family to do something like this. Like, nobody is, and you talk to like white kids in their family, oh yeah, my dad's a fucking pianist. Like, this ain't new to them. You know what I'm saying? It's, it's probably looked at a certain way by their family members when they first started, but when they start getting successful, niggas don't even look at that shit no more. So a lot of black people, we're stuck by, we don't want to, it's hard to take a leap of faith when you can fail so easily.
Yeah.
I to a certain extent, like I hate the mindset that I was given because my mom gave me that mindset just based off of her shortcomings with,
Yeah, but that's real. That's real.
I know. I know it's real, but like she did a little too much to me because of her PTSD. Because she at first she wanted to become a lawyer.
You know what that remind me of, bro?
What?
And I don't mean to cut you out. I had like a quick thought. You ever see fucking Fences?
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, where like he wanted to be a baseball player, but the time period he was in, he was too old. He was black. It didn't work out, so he kind of took that out on his son.
Yeah.
And that's like a generational story too. I mean, it was that August Wilson, I think, wrote that. But no, yeah. You told me that your mom wanted to be a lawyer and shit, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, because she had a racist teacher. Teacher didn't pass her. She did everything under the sun correct, and the teacher just did not pass her just because of her skin color.
Was there a point where she's okay with your path?
Oh, now heck yeah, she's super okay with it now. At first she wasn't, because she was like, when I was first telling her about the early beginnings, early developments of Angry Black Men, she was just like, "You better stop. That name is gonna make a lot of people angry. They gonna be coming after you. I wouldn't do that." She just kept warning me. She didn't physically stop me or like try to control my life. She was just like, no. Or if I needed her help with something, she wouldn't help me towards this. She wanted me to put it down and do other things, and she didn't see the vision of what I saw or what Q saw. But now, like, as repetition just kept happening. I just kept doing it. I kept ignoring what she kept saying. I was ignoring a lot of what other people were saying and just kept doing what I felt was great. Because I was exposed to death early on as a kid. So early on, I was just like, I was already like, fuck it, let's do it. Fuck it, let's get it done. I just stared at a dead face. I don't have much time on this planet. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Yeah, no, my parents. Yeah.
Could you conceptualize it? I think I learned about the Holocaust too young.
Ooh.
And like my family members, like there was a lot of people like died early, and I think it fucked me up.
Ooh, are you Jewish?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would fuck me up too if I was Jewish, and I found out about that way too young. I actually just watched Schindler's List like 2 years ago. And I know a lot of people see that shit super early on.
Like I think I was like 6, and I'm like, wait, what happened? Like that's too young.
That's crazy.
I'm like playing with Transformers, and I'm like,
yeah, that shit gave me nightmares as a kid, and like it just kind of molded me to like just go hard in life, because you're not always promised.
I think I dissociated. I think I kind of just like, I got anxious about everything, and I was just like,
I did too.
I think I was in denial more than I like, because I don't think I had a fire under my ass until later in life.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm curious about this. That's why it's like it's interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I had more of a fire. I don't know what lit the fire. I don't know what did it. I felt like death did it for me, because it used to make me anxious. It used to give me anxiety. I had bad anxiety where I wouldn't be able to breathe. So it was like when I started doing music, it calmed me down and relaxed me. I was able to breathe through my lungs, getting out my frustrations on paper. So I don't know if I'm straying off.
I think it's all that though. I mean, because I just realized we talking from two different perspectives in a way. Because I know with the Holocaust shit, I mean, I got some Jewish friends and they talk about that shit too. And it's like, it puts like a certain like mind frame on you it's like slavery for black people. When you first learn about that shit, because you just black, you don't know about that shit. Then you go like, you go to school and then oh shit.
Yeah,
you watch the Roots. Oh my god, what the fuck? No, that's kind of how it is. You start being aware.
I got a question though. Is it bad that my teacher put on Roots when we were in grade school? Is that bad? I just want to know.
I don't think so.
I was exposed to titties early on in school, and I don't think I was supposed to.
Titties. He said no, the racial shit. He said nope, men do not know the titties.
Nah, I mean
you had the internet by that point. You could have just looked it up anytime you wanted.
Excuse all the excuse all the informational racial shit, but it was just like it was so real. Roots was so real. I'm like, should I be exposed to this early on as a kid?
But that's what I'm saying. Like everybody got like, it's that awareness behind you that you get. Because like I said, when you're a young black kid, you don't really know that you're young and black until the world treats you a certain way. And you're like, oh, okay, this is like where we're at with this. Because like I said, slavery, I didn't know much about that until like I started, you don't know until you know. Like it don't really play a fact. You're just a kid, you know what I'm saying? And then you start watching. You don't know until
you start caring for real. Like
yeah, because I remember like the first like thing that really took me off guard that made me realize like I was black was the Emmett Till shit. And we learned about that. That's when I was like, oh, and to this day, I still think about that very often. And like, it's a case that has gotten very popular over time too. Like it hasn't been forgotten. or some stories kind of like, oh, Emmett Till, you ask some people out there like, oh yeah, I know about that. And actually, I've been to this dude's grave before. Like, I was so obsessed with that case and just like traumatized by it as a kid. I never forget seeing like that face. I was just like, even now, I mean, I be talking to white women now and shit. Even now, I be having like a thing. You know what I'm saying? When I
chip on your shoulder.
Ooh. Sometimes I'd be like, ooh, yeah, forgot. Because you forget how the world treats you. Then it's like, oh, yeah, you're white. Oh, fuck, yeah. And then, you mention something and they have like no context to it.
It molds right into your reality on what you choosing to deal with. I ain't finna speak on too much, but yeah, it molds into your reality.
It's levels to this shit. Like I'm saying, like when you're a kid, you learn about that. I remember like reading the Malcolm X autobiography of Malcolm X. That changed me. I was like, oh, you start really, being in tune of the history that came before you, and it has an effect on where you're at now. So like, you even learned about the Holocaust that early. I'm sure like, you're like, damn, this is where I'm at now with it. I'm a kid, during like the 80s. You said you saw when you were 6. Yeah, I can only imagine. Like you had a whole fucking perspective after that.
Yeah, 1986 was the Challenger exploding. We all watched it explode in a classroom. Learning about the Holocaust and Transformers the movie. There's my 1986.
That's sick.
That's dope.
But I mean, it is, I think on one hand, learning the way the world is at an early age at least orients you in a certain way. Yeah. Where you like, all right, at least I know how to navigate this. Because if you don't, like, I think I grew up until I got into high school with a very whitewashed understanding of America. Like even with the Holocaust, like I don't learn that until later on that like Hitler got his ideas from America. Like America, like segregation in America, like that gave him the idea. And it's just like, oh shit. And you don't learn that until later on. I do think though that like having a better map of reality can help you. Not always, but it can help you navigate things, especially creatively. And like, what do I want to do? And what is possible for me to do?
That's very true. Yeah.
I feel like Hitler was a smooth talking piece of shit.
I don't even think he was a smooth talker. Have you ever seen any of his speeches?
He was charismatic, I would say.
He knew how to appeal to the crowd, to the masses, and get them.
But also, they were desperate though. It's a lot of factors. Like it's a lot of factors why that nigga rose up in power. Like people in Germany were super desperate.
They were looking for it, and he was the founder.
But he was not a smooth talker. Yeah, he was not like super charismatic. He wasn't like fucking drink the Kool-Aid nigga, Jim Jones.
Yeah, imagine someone like that now, just like a dude with a bad comb over and a shitty mustache screaming. Like, that would not get you jazzed up now.
That would be a meme.
Yeah, it would be a joke. You need somebody like Trump now.
Yeah, things have to be really fucked up. I mean, Trump has a bad comb over, and the only thing he's missing is the mustache. Like, things have to be really fucked up societally for a guy like that to appeal to people.
Hey, we're not gonna touch Trump Shakur, all right?
But my point was more about like learning this stuff at an early age. On one hand, fucks you up. On the other hand, you're like, okay, at least what I'm getting from in both of your experiences was that it said you were less like, oh, I know what the world is like. I'm just gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah. Pretty much. I never looked back. I mean,
we're right at the end, but like when you went to college, did you have a major? Was there a thing where you're like, I guess I'll do this?
Yeah, it was digital marketing.
Was that just like, I guess it's a good job? Did you have any kind of passion for it?
Kind of, sort of. It was kind of like, it's a good job. I can get in with this and possibly even bleed into the music industry. But it was more like, I wasn't too enthusiastic about it. If I'm being real, like I tried to make myself enthusiastic about it when I was younger and doing it. But when it actually came to it, I was like, oh my God. That's like crazy to think about. I mean, I like school. Shout out to school. I think it's mandatory if you want to do it, but it takes a lot out of people, man. Like, and then you don't actually make the money that you want when you graduate. Like, fuck.
I just want to say, like, shout out to me for like not giving a fuck what my mom had to say with dealing with school, because she was on me like white on rice. Like when I dropped out of college, she was disappointed, mad, and it took a toll on me. It took a effect on me, and I just said, what, I still got to do what's right for me. I got to do what, like I said, makes me tickle, what tickles my spirit on the inside, what makes me.
Yeah. I'm feeling it. We just got one life. I just really think, like, man, we got one life, and it's like, if you go to school to impress other people, I'm gonna kill myself at 60. Because everybody that wanted this shit, it pressed you to go to school, and you're a lawyer, you're a big shot lawyer, and you didn't really want this, but you have to keep doing it till you're 60. Like, no wonder why boomers are so fucking mad all the time.
Yeah,
we're one of like the first generations to like do what we want. Really,
during stressful times, is actually, we're actually relaxed. I feel like we're the most relaxed generation.
Especially the ones coming under, like Gen Z, man, them niggas don't give a fuck. What they be saying? Skidibbity. Give a fuck. I feel like I said Riz. Yeah, them niggas got Riz. They don't really care, man.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, because it really is. I think I was haunted by a vision of my future when I was on a different path. I was haunted by the idea, like, I wasn't really happy. I couldn't really understand that I wasn't really happy. I just knew I wasn't happy on some level, and I wasn't really thinking about why. But I would have these visions of the future, and it was like my brain trying to tell me, this is what it's going to, if you don't do the thing you want to do, this is what you're going to end up like. And I just imagined myself in a ratty recliner eating a lean cuisine in front of like a really tiny CRT TV, watching like reruns of Everybody Loves Raymond or something in my like middle age.
That's fucking scary.
It scared the hell out of me.
Also, shout out to you, man, because like that shit was probably pressed on your generation harder than us, I would say.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that you guys, because what do you consider? Are you considered Gen X?
Technically, but I'm quote unquote Zennial. I have all the same political beliefs and everything else.
Yeah, you're definitely you're more millennial. Yeah, you're more millennial for sure. Now I think about it. Yeah, you guys really. I mean, because you're like an older millennial, I would say. Yeah, you guys really. In my opinion, you guys did what you wanted. I mean, Gen X too. They don't get enough credit. We just forget about them niggas. But like the Kurt Cobain and Tupac generation, they started that wave, and I feel like the millennials were like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, like, I don't know. Look at niggas created Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg. A lot of millennials, they went against the grain is what I'm trying to say, in my opinion. And now, a lot of them have conformed to, like, the societal boomer, mannerisms or whatnot. But a lot of them early on pushed the boundaries. So I got to shout out to, like, that older generation because, like, yeah. We don't do that enough. We're always thinking like we know the shit. All the young kids, we always think we know, but we don't.
Yeah, but that's why I was asking a lot of these questions, because I do think there is this thing in both of you that was missing in my generation for the most part, which is, hey, let's just do what we want, what makes us happy. I think there's more of that in your generation and younger.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
And I think that's needed for everything.
It came from somewhere though.
Yeah.
It came from somewhere though.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of, but it took me forever to like kind of excavate from under my parents' wishes for me, what they wanted. Their first generation. So their second generation, and so they wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. I didn't want that, and I kept trying to like triangulate what are their desires, and I don't really know what I want to do, but I know it feels good, and like the stuff that they want me to do doesn't really feel good. So
right,
I'll just
that's
try
what
to
you go by.
Figure out something in there, and it took me forever. It took me.
That's why it took you forever, because you were trying to figure out a middle ground.
Yeah,
for where you can meet your happiness, and they see you and they're happy for you, and it's like they should just be happy for you with whatever you decide to do. Just like how I thought with my mom, you're going to be happy with whatever I decide to do. I told her I want to do music. I told her I wanted to do Angry Blackmen, and look at me today.
But Andy, when did you realize keep going with that? When did you realize you had to do what you had to do?
Like late 20s, 28. It took me till then to like.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Same with us.
Yeah.
And look, everything worked out for me. And, you know, I met my wife and all this other stuff that wouldn't have happened who knows what if I moved to New York to do UCB in the early 2000s. I could have flamed out. I could have sucked. Nothing could have happened. So who knows, right?
That's scary to think about.
You said the early 2000s, which makes it very scary because it was so turbulent. Now you got the retrospect to look back, you know, 9/11, the stock market, you know, all that. Yeah, who really knows if you think about it?
Well, that seems like a nice place to end. I've dragged you back down into my pit of despair. Once again, I'm sorry for that. Apologies.
I love you, Eddie, bro. You took this shit.
Pit of despair.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I love the album. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, man. This has been a great conversation. Very therapeutic on my end.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye.